when I was in college, I was about 190 pounds, give or take, and now I'm 230, 235. So, in that first jump from when I first got there and got drafted, that first spring training or the first offseason I gained 20-something pounds. So, I just ate a lot, worked out a lot.
All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To The Show We Go Baseball podcast. Today's episode, we're dipping into the Minnesota Twins system. We have pitcher CJ Culpepper on. He was a member of the 2022 draft class there for Minnesota, and he's actually spent the last couple of years now in his pro career pitching, and now he is up to AA this year. CJ, I always like to start these off just on like a easy, lighter note. I know we were just talking off air. You're enjoying your off season right now, but what have you been up to? And I guess how have things been back home?
Yeah, it's been good. I've just been working out, started throwing bullpens, just getting ready for spring training when the time comes, and got into hunting out here in Tennessee. So just been getting into that, doing a lot of fishing, just been enjoying my time at home with family and a couple friends I have out here, and just been loving it.
Well, is that you said you just got into hunting, so that's something that's pretty new to you?
Yeah, actually, one of the guys that I played with in high lives in Alabama, and he got me into it pretty much the all season that I was with him. And got back home, he got me excited for it. I drove down to Alabama on opening day for deer out there, hung out with him and learned a lot from him. Came back here and have been quite a good amount of time. So it's been new, and it's still definitely learning everything about it.
What was the biggest moment where you were kind of like, okay, I actually think I enjoy this, and I guess what got you over the hump?
Honestly, it started in California when I lived there. It's like I always wanted to do that. I always just thought like, oh, this is gonna be a lot of fun, like being able to go do that. And I just never like living in California. You don't really have that. It's not much out there, at least where I'm at. I was in the city, like we didn't really have any of that. So coming out here, living in a town with 1,100 people, it's basically all there is to do around here. So I think just having that around, having the people that do it, I think that's what kind of got me over the hump.
Listen, I think Tennessee, by the way, is one of the most underrated states out there. I have a running power ranking of every state I've ever visited, and Tennessee is I think they're number 3 on my list right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's up there. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm loving it.
a lot to see out there, man. So many things
Oh,
to
yeah.
do. Everybody just thinks it's just Nashville. I'm like, no. It's
Mm-mm.
way more than Nashville.
Yep, I'm on the other side of the state.
Okay. Smoky Mountains are incredible. It's always
Yeah.
fun driving through there.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I kind of wanted to talk about just a little bit about your 2024 that you just had. You've been in pro ball now for, I guess, about 2 years now. So I guess looking back at 2024, what are some of your takeaways from this year that you had on the mound?
I had a lot. It was a learning year with the injury I had in the middle of the year, with the forearm thing that I had. Just learned a lot about myself and who I was as a pitcher, and then going off the field, learning who I was as a player without having baseball. So I just looking back, I think I ended the season really well. Ended on a good note of where I wanted to carry on into 2025. Just figured out some sequencing stuff that I needed, and that ended up helping me out a lot. Punch out rates went through the roof, and just a learning curve the entire year, and just being able to use the stuff that I learned and then apply it either the next start or a couple starts later just helped me out a lot.
So you had mentioned the forearm strain you had in early June this year. As a pitcher, and with it happening in June, how do you get mentally ready to go again after halting all that momentum you had? You landed with an injury. How does one get back into the swing of things and start firing on all cylinders, that late into the season?
I think just having the drive to get back, because right when I went down, I just wanted to get back out there, and I knew it was going to take a little bit. Ended up taking 2 months, I think, till I got my first game back in. Um, I think just having the drive and the will to get back, and just wanting to get out there so desperately, and seeing everybody else being out there and pitching, and you just want to be out there. So I just think having that like will to just get back out there. I did everything that the trainer said. Was open communication with everybody around. So, and it was the tough part of the season because it was right in the middle. Um, we were just started figuring stuff out, and then it went down for 2 months, and then just had to figure it all back out again.
Well, something obviously clicked because you split time this year between high A and you made it up to double A Wichita. What kind of things did you notice about your jump in going up to Wichita, and whether it's just the way that the players went about it, it's the way batters were attacking the balls in the zone, or like what kind of things were you noticing about double A whenever you pitched up there?
I think the biggest thing that I noticed was that they know the zone really well. They know when a ball's out of the zone and when it's in the zone. They'll still expand every once in a while. You just have to kind of know when they're going to. Um, it's just a game. Like you're trying to get them out. They're trying to get a hit. So you're just trying to mess with their head. And once I figured that part out and figured out that I have 6 pitches, like I can use all of them, like for my advantage. And I think that was the biggest difference was they just know the zone a lot better and they're just more disciplined than they were in high.
I read a few different outlets on their scouting reports on you, and I guess just what you bring to the table. And I noticed there was a common trend was about your pitch arsenal and about how many different pitches you throw. And I actually read one earlier that was like, I think he throws 5, I think he throws 6, he might throw 7. Kind of lost track. Well, I guess can you just help me with what the number of pitches are, and I guess how it came to such a rich arsenal that you have?
Yeah, well, so it started in college. I just had my sophomore year had 2 pitches, and then it went to 4 my junior year. Got drafted, and then it was after a start in where were we? Playing the Pirates low A. We it was after one of my starts. I was like, I'm gonna try something. So then I just started throwing this cutter thing, and it started working really well. So like, oh, this is cool. And then that just took off. And then at some point this year, we were actually trying to get 7 pitches, but it the 2 of the pitches kind of blended in with each other. So we're like, all right, we're not doing that anymore. So we just went back down to 6, and now I have fastball, my four seam, and my sinker, changeup, slider, sweeper, and then a curveball.
What I guess like
Yeah. I was gonna say because like I was reading one of your scouting report. I was going over like it had like a sweepy break to it. We laugh because with the Red Sox organization, we do a lot of Red Sox content, and it's every arm throws a sweeper. So it's interesting to hear how different organizations what they value, what they what because obviously with the Sox, everything is their fastball is second, and it's all the other off speed pitches. So sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, how does one carry that many pitches that you feel confident enough in to just throw night in and I guess every start? Like, how did you come to how did it get to 6 pitches where you just kind of like, okay, I honed my stuff with these 3. It's okay, I feel comfortable adding a 4th and adding a 5th, and I guess how has that happened over the years?
It's pretty much just that. I got comfortable with the pitches I was throwing, and then I would be watching like a game or something. Like we were on the road this year, and it was while I was injured. Actually, we were getting food, and I was watching the Orioles. I was watching Corbin Burns throw, and they showed like a slow motion video of his cutter. I was like, I'm gonna try that. So then we just started messing with that and trying to figure that thing out, and it just happens like that. Like I consider myself to be a quick learner, and I can feel my body pretty well. Like I know like what's going on. I can feel my hand like where it's positioned in certain pitches. So that helps a lot. Just trying it, not being scared to
Okay.
try it.
Yeah, and I guess that this will be my last question about the Arsenal thing. I just find it fascinating because you don't really see too many guys that are comfortable throwing 7 pitches, let alone even 3 pitches, sometimes in the minors. So, like Chris said, it's like we have some familiarity with the Red Sox system, and there's a pitcher in AAA, Hunter Dobbins, that throws now like 6 pitches, and I was always curious, like what. Maybe like what do the Twins think about it? Like, have you talked with like the pitching development or your farm director or coaches, and are they kind of giving you like a green light, be like, if you feel comfortable throwing these things, throw them, or are they kind of like, well, like let's think about it before, or like how are they with I guess the flexibility that on you learning all these pitches?
They're comfortable with it if I'm comfortable with it. It's one of those where it's like, I think this is what's going to help me get to the next level, get to where I want to be, and then I just bring it up to them and be like, all right, yeah, if we can try it and mess around with it, and if it helps, it helps, and if it doesn't, we just stop throwing. All right, cool. It's pretty much how it goes every time.
Okay, I didn't know if it was that easy, like if they were kind of like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit, but I kind of like that they're a little more free. So I did see a thing as well that you, on your first year of pro ball, you had added velo from where you were when you were in college. What kind of things were you doing to elevate the velocity, and I guess how have you maintained that since turning pro?
So when I was in college, I was about 190 pounds, give or take, and now I'm 230, 235. So in that first jump from when I first got there and got drafted, the first spring training or the first offseason I gained 20 something pounds. So I just
That'll
ate
do it.
ate a lot, worked out a lot. And then they got me on a good throwing program. They got me on some weighted ball stuff that we were doing. Then I went to a velo camp that really helped too. So it was kind of crazy going from starting in college. I was 89, 92, 93, and kind of being to where I'm at now. It's just cool to see the progression that I've had so far.
Yeah, it obviously has paid off. You had a pretty good year. I mean, with the minus the injury, I feel like you even would be in a better spot than you ended up. But that kind of leads me now. Obviously getting a taste of Double A. You're only 2 calls away from the majors, and I feel like you have a pretty big spring training coming up in 2025 for you. What kind of things are you looking forward to the most about this upcoming spring training?
Just all of it. Just getting back with the guys again, and just putting in the work, showing them the work that I've put in the off season, and just going from there. Try to take it one day at a time, especially out there. Like if you try to think too far in advance, you kind of just lose sight of what you're doing the day that whatever you're doing. So I try to just take it day by day, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So I try to just look at it that way, especially when it comes to like the big league side and everything. So
how often do you stay in contact with the team? I know there's like a period where, you guys don't really talk much to the org, but like when you do, like how often are you in contact with it? Like, what does that conversation kind of look like? What are they looking for? And what are you trying to provide to them before getting to camp?
they would do like check-ins, and they kind of just they just see how everything's going, how we're feeling. And then if I am feeling comfortable and like telling them like, well, I am comfortable. I get comfortable and I tell them like, yeah, I'm working on this, this, and this, and I'm excited about this spring training. They're like, all right, cool. And they would say they're so excited to see it. So that's pretty much how that goes. Yeah, if I need anything, I reach out. If they need anything, they reach out. And right now it's the dead period, so we can't talk to them. But it's like a month and a half or so that we can't talk to them. So have to do all of our stuff before that.
So like when you guys go and have those, do the Twins have something to where, you have your own like individual development plan? Like, obviously, you want to do in the off season. Nobody knows what you need to do more than yourself and how your arm's going to feel in your body, things like that. But do you have a conversation before the year ends and say that, okay, this is our development plan for you this off season and what we want to, check these boxes before going into it? Or is it pretty much kind of like what you said? It's, hey, I want to do these things. I want to try it out. And then, hey, all right, show us and let's take a look at it.
Yeah, they tell us, they say like what they think that's going to help, and they'll give like their opinion on how it's going to help. So then I'll try that, and then I'll try a couple other things, like just to see what's going to help. I can't do like multiple things at one time, because if I do that, then I don't know which one is helping, which one's not helping. So they give me like kind of like a baseline, and then give me like what they think is going to really help, and then go from there. I use their stuff, and I've been training at 108 out here, 108 Performance. So I've been doing a lot of stuff there, and it's all been helping a lot. So I'm excited.
All right, I'm shooting now to life before pro ball here.
Wow.
Kind of switching lanes here. You grew up in California, a suburb of Los Angeles. How was it, I guess, just growing up out there? And even obviously it's a hotbed for baseball and football and quite a few other sports. But what was it like growing up out there? And I guess the sports scene, just going to high school, near such a big city like LA.
Yeah, so we were 40 miles east of LA, in a town called Rancho Cucamonga. I say town, it's a city. It was fun growing up. I played with a lot of good players growing up. We played against like guys like Tyler Freeman, who's in the big leagues now with the Guardians. Like, we just had dudes like that all the time that we'd play, and every time we'd play someone like that, everyone would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's him!" And then just stuff like that. Same thing with college. Went to California Baptist. It was the same way. We'd go play all these guys, and it's cool to see and cool to hear. And then in high school, which is kind of cool. Like, I went to school with CJ Stroud. Like, he went to my high school.
Like same time?
Yeah, he was there. He was a junior when I was a senior, so he was there for 3 of the years.
Your football team must have been pretty good.
Oh yeah. What was crazy too is when he was my junior year, he wasn't a starter. So his sophomore year, he wasn't a starter, and then he was his junior and senior year, which is we were pretty good.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I was not expecting CJ Stroud. I didn't know CJ Stroud was a California guy. That's interesting. He chose Ohio State there, but so I am gonna take it back to you now here, and I'm even gonna go a little pre high school here. Who got you into baseball?
My dad, because I picked up baseball when I was 2, so I've been kind of doing that stuff ever since. It was like the little tee with a big old bat. I was just swinging that thing. I remember one time, I think it was about 2, my grandma had a lemon tree in her backyard, and I grabbed it and chucked it at her window and broke it, just shattered it. So like, all right, well, I know where we're going. So it started when I was 2 years old and just kind of went in. My dad is the main person for that, because we'd always grow up going to Angel games and just things like that. We grew up Angels fans, so grew up there going to all those games when Vladdy was there. Favorite guy growing up was Casey Kochman. I don't know if you remember that name.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up, he was my favorite guy to watch. So yeah,
how'd you gravitate towards him?
I'll never forget this, because he was hitting, and I went to the game, and he hits a home run, but it hits the top of the fence and then bounces over, and I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then that was that. I was like, he's my new favorite player.
But now
is in the LaRoche trade when the Red Sox traded Adam LaRoche.
Okay.
Well, now as a pitcher, you probably hate that home run the most.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I did also see something on, you played club ball for the Garcia Parr baseball group. Can you kind of talk about what that was like? And I guess your interactions with obviously the Garcia Parra family is a very, with 2 first-round picks in the family, and with their dad also being involved in the game. Like, how was that, playing ball there? And I guess what kind of came with that during your time?
It was cool. So how it worked, it was like, especially like where we had like it was Garcia Park baseball, but it was like a California area. So it was kind of like where we were. I was on there just for like the weekends or whatever, and then we went to Jupiter, Florida, and played on the team out there with Garcia Parra. So it was cool. He was a good dude. I was probably 15, 16 around the time that we went out there. So like Kevin Prado was on my team. A couple other guys that can't really name off the top of my head, but I think they're playing pro ball now. So it was cool just seeing all that. We lost to the Canes in that, in like the semifinals of that tournament. So it was a good team for sure. Good program, and I mean they've done well throughout the years. So
yeah,
it was
and
fun.
that family is obviously still very loved all over. I know Nomar's out in LA and obviously in Boston as well. He's still loved, but all right, I like showing some love on these things to some alma maters here, and always have to show love to the schools that kind of made you who you are. So what made you choose going to CBU?
The first part was the faith aspect. Jesus he's the main priority in my life right now, and when it came to choosing schools, I prayed a lot about it, prayed with my family a lot about it, and that was the first school that I went to. I just kind of just felt like I went there like this is home, and all of the classes that I was taking all had the faith aspect part of it, and it was just the right fit for me and my family. I was 35, 40 minutes away from home. I would still lived on campus, but I went home every weekend. So it was it was a great program. I mean, Coach Adcock has done a great job there. He always gets people drafted, and uh, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, just the faith aspect, and then obviously great baseball program.
You choose CBU and then you go out there and you had the freshman year you were named an All-American. You were closing a ton of games. So you had a really successful first year. What was that like for you to be named like an All-American and just have that type of year as soon as you got there?
It was cool. Well, so technically, I should say this. That was the COVID freshman.
Well,
Because we
yeah,
had
that's
gotten
true.
there. I got like 3 games in my actual freshman year. Then COVID shut everything down.
Yeah, well, we don't count that.
We don't count that, yeah. But then next year we went, uh, put me as a closer, and just every game I just had an unbelievable time. Besides one game, there was one game that I will never forget because it was awful. But um, it was a good time, and I think I was leading the country at some point in saves or something like that. I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, this is it's a fun ordeal. Like closing's a lot of fun. I like the adrenaline rush that it gives you. It was, and that was a great team. That 22 or 21 team was just a lot of fun. Couldn't make the playoffs still because we were in that transition year. I think we won like 42 games or something like that year. It was something ridiculous, but it was a good time.
So I did peek your numbers for your time there, and it looked like you were closing a ton of ball games earlier in the career, and then as you kind of went on, see you only had one save in your last year there. Do you miss closing it all? Like, do you miss that feeling going out there with the game on the line and just slamming the door?
Yes and no. I think I do like being a starter more. I think it's more fun because you go in 5, 7 innings. It's an enjoyable time. You just don't get the adrenaline rush you do as closing. Closing, you get in there like literally the game is in your hands. Like there's nothing you can. Like, it's just I don't know how to describe it if you've never done it before. It's an unreal feeling, and it's just you get that final out. You strike the dude out to end the game, and it's just like this is awesome. You start the handshake line. You're like, this is cool.
So you're telling me you don't miss the bullpen chats and sitting out there all game?
Probably not, especially when it's like freezing cold and everything. Nah, I
Okay.
like having the dugout closer and have the little enclosed space for the heat.
Okay. Well, I don't blame you there. And I was always curious too because I always like to joke. Obviously we've had a lot of pitchers on this show and kind of gotten to know a lot of guys that were relievers, starters, and I always kind of joke the guys that always end up turning into the closers just have like they're just like I don't know, there's just like wiring in their brain. They're just like they're just psychopaths when they're on the mound, and it's like you got to be a psycho to be a closer. That's just my opinion, just seeing some of these guys that are doing it these days. So it is always interesting to hear like, oh, well, you were a closer once, but you like starting more. But all right. So I got one more question here, kind of in the life before pro ball here. You had some time on Cape Cod in the Cape Cod League, which is always a lot of people's favorite stop before they get to pro ball. Can you tell me about how your experience was out on the Cape?
It was amazing. That was probably one of the most fun times I've had playing baseball. Just with the guys, like there was like Brooks Lee on my team and Dominic Keegan on my team. Like there was just a bunch of dudes on my team. It was just fun to watch them do their thing. And then you got to face like the best college players. Like you face, I think it's Reggie Crawford. I think that's his name.
Oh yeah.
Face dudes like him, and you're just like, this is awesome. And it's like I had success out there too, so that kind of helped a little bit and made it that much more fun.
How do you feel your success and your time in the Cape helped prep you for getting to pro ball?
I think it just goes back to you're facing the best dudes in college baseball. You're facing the Reggie Crawfords, and especially going to a school that's not like Power 5 or whatever. You're not facing those dudes every weekend. Then going out there and realizing that, oh, I can compete with these guys. And then just having fun with it, because if you try to make put more pressure on yourself because it's Reggie Crawford, like, oh, I went to this school and he went to this school, that's not going to help anybody. So I just had fun with it.
Okay, and then let's go off the field in Cape Cod. What were some of your favorite things about being out there?
My host family, they were awesome out there. He had a boat, so we'd go fishing.
Ooh.
Caught some pretty big striper out there, which is cool. Saw a couple great whites just cruising around. Like it was just a good time. We would freshwater fish, saltwater fish. We do the whole thing, and I think it was. And then I met one of my best friends out there too. So it's just been that was just a great experience that I had. Starting with the host family, they helped out.
From being from out on the West Coast, was that your first time going to the East Coast, like to New England, I guess?
No, well, that I can remember pretty much, because we went to New York when I was a kid, but I kind of remember New York. I remember like walking down the main area, Broad or whatever the main street, I don't know. But went out to New York. We went to Boston, I think. I could just be making that up. But like the Philadelphia area, we went all throughout that area. So it wasn't my first time, but it was my first time in that area, I think.
All right, I promise we won't clip that and have our Boston people hear you say that New York and Philadelphia were New England, but it's Northeast.
No, it was the closest area. That's what I meant.
I know.
Over there.
All right, Chris, I'm gonna jump to a little more off the field here. If you have anything before I go that direction.
No, I'll jump into the off the field stuff.
All right, we're going beyond the box score here. Some things just to get to know you a little bit off the field. I'm not gonna lie to you. When you peek your IG or your Twitter X, whatever they call it these days, and you see a lot of your posts, it's just baseball. It seems like you eat, breathe, sleep baseball. And but I need to know, when you got a day off on those Mondays, or You don't have training in the off season. You're not doing any of that. What do you do in your free time?
Majority of the time, like especially this year, it was a lot of hunting. I did a lot of hunting, a lot of fishing. I just like to be outdoors. I like to be outdoors. I don't like to sit in my room and do nothing. I like to just be out, and especially in Tennessee, there's so much to explore. Like there's just uh, that's what I did all off season. And when it came in season, if I had a day off, I would be fishing. And once my buddy got up to Ohio with me, we would go velvet hunting, which is just you're gonna go look for deer and just go scout out because we're in Iowa, and Iowa has some giant bucks out there.
Oh yeah.
So we would go out there and just see these giants, and you're just like, what the heck? So do that, and it's pretty much my off day every time.
You know you're a unique one, right? Because I've had quite a few guys on the show this off season, and I only get video games and golfing.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that I'm really weird for not golfing because in my opinion, I think golfing is just kind of boring, and I'm not good at it. I don't like. I know. And I'm not good at it. So that could be a problem that I have with it is I don't like doing things I'm not good at. And I already took up hunting and I took up fishing, which are two expensive hobbies. And if I put golf in there, it's not be good.
You're going to be probably in the minority of professional baseball pitchers that don't golf.
100%.
Okay.
100%. I had a couple guys that would ask me, they're like, dude, come golf. And I was like, I don't want to spend money to suck. Like I can do that for free anywhere else. So it's just like, I just don't want to go make a fool out of myself doing this.
Okay, as long as you know though that I don't care how well some guys are pretty good. I guess there are some professional players that are pretty good, but we all are not that good at it. But some people like to say they are or whatever. But no, you're not out in the PGA Tour. It's like it's okay.
See, like a lot of the guys in like spring training, they'll go 4 or 5 times a week, and I'm like, in that Florida heat too. I'm just like, you're crazy.
Yeah, I would not do that.
No.
Okay, so next question here. If not playing baseball professionally, what would you be doing right now?
I get that question a good bit, and I still have no idea. Because, like, honestly, this is something that I've wanted to do forever. I would tell my elementary school teachers when it came to, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? This is what I put. So, honestly, I have absolutely no idea. Coaching, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a question I don't really want to answer until the time comes, you know?
That's fair. It might lead me. It'll lead you good into this next question here. But I saw that you majored in kinesiology.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just get like what made you settle on that? Like where did that interest come from?
The interest came from just wanting, because I'm obviously a baseball player. I use my body all the time. I wanted to learn about it, but I didn't know that taking kinesiology classes and majoring in that was going to be that difficult. I mean, holy smokes, it was difficult. I just sat there just looking at some of these words and everything. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm reading right now. Like, this is ridiculous. But I'm still not finished yet. I think I got 2 or 3 more classes left that I'm doing right now. So I think that's the biggest thing, was just wanting to learn how the body moves and what, like, we use in particular for the sport that we play, you know?
Would you say that it's helped you at all? Now you're in pro ball, and obviously with everything being so data and analytically driven, that having a little bit of that knowledge and background from majoring in kinesiology, like, do you think that's helped you kind of be like, know what your body's good at and not good at?
Yeah, because it shows like kind of what the positions are that help you and then don't help you. And then obviously when my trainers talk about it, I can actually understand what they're saying. For the most part, because for a lot of people, like they have to like, and for me, a good amount of times they kind of have to like say it differently than they would to like another trainer or something. So like I tell them like, hey, I understand what you're saying, and then they can talk normal and just kind of using that for that part.
Okay. We're shifting. I always say that this is a part food podcast because I'm a big food guy, but this is going to be a tough question for you, and it's been a hard question for some. But I need you to give me a Mount Rushmore, so your top 4 of restaurant chains all time. It can be drive-through or sit down.
Okay. Number 1 is In-N-Out. 100%.
It's fair.
Chili's got to be in there somewhere. I don't know where that'll go, but it's somewhere in there. Chick-fil-A, that's definitely in there. And
we're Zaxby's friendly podcast. I'm sorry, but it's okay.
Dang.
I'm not sure where the we came from.
Dang. Third one or fourth one always gets me. I have no idea.
You're missing a good one right now that has been on a lot of people's.
What is it?
It's the good old Texas Roadhouse that's been up there quite a bit.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I don't want to give you one of your Mount Rushmores, though. You got to come up with that yourself.
I'm trying to think.
You got a fast food place that you like hitting up, either while it's down in Fort Myers. It's like, ooh, like I can go for that. Like if it's PDQ, if it's something like that, like.
I guess Panda Express. I go to Panda a lot.
It's good, man. All right, we'll take
I'll
that.
put Panda on there.
Panda's in mine as well, so I will accept that one.
There we go.
All right, so you gave me already your favorite player growing up was Casey Kochman. But let's go outside of baseball here. Who were like your favorite athlete outside of baseball?
Outside of baseball, that one's tough because I didn't really grow up watching anything else other than baseball. Like my dad, he didn't grow up watching football or basketball or anything. So I guess once I got more into my faith, it kind of became Tim Tebow. And because he was obviously really big into his faith, and he was obviously a really good athlete growing up for me. So I guess I would probably say that, even though I didn't watch football or anything like that.
Hey, Tim Tebow, man, Heisman winner, incredible. I mean, one of my favorite college athletes outside of Reggie Bush, maybe he might be my favorite college athlete I've ever watched on the field.
Yeah.
Other than Drew Lock, because that's my Mizzou guy. All right, Chris, I'm going to our last segment here. Do you have anything before I get there?
Yeah, I wanted to because we were mentioning a little bit, just get to know you. I noticed some of your pictures. You have a tattoo that's on your arm. Is that the only? Well, first off, like, what's your tattoo? Is that the only one that you have, and do you have an interest in getting more?
Oh yeah, I'm actually getting one in 11 days because I'm traveling back home to back to California. We're going to go see my mom's parents for Christmas. We do like a Christmas Eve type deal every year. So we're going back, and I got my tattoo guy out there, and I'm getting a giant lion on my left chest, and it's going to connect to my other tattoos. So I'm excited because I got there's a cross right here, and then like clouds everywhere, then like the praying hands, and then the staircase that goes up to the cross. So then we're just adding a line right here, and probably be my last one for a
Is there
little bit.
Any symbol, like anything behind why the lion is just something that looks really cool? I'm always intrigued because, like, there's a lot of guys, especially covering the teams. Everybody has their reasons why they get tattoos. Some just get it for the sake of getting it, and then hearing about, now, what you have, and then like a little bit of your backstory. You talking about how religion is so important to you. Just curious, does a lion mean anything? Is that a sort of symbol?
Yeah. Oh, it's like the Lion of Judah. It's like the Lion and Lamb story. How the lion is like the courageous and uh, fierce warrior, and like that's God, and he's also the lamb who was slain. So that's kind of what that represents. And this, like the left side of my body is basically going to be like my left arm, and my chest will be like my faith arm. And then my dad has a bunch of tattoos that has like a memorial of like his mom and dad, and how it's just how it's going to be. So I think I'm going to do that on my right arm when I'm done playing.
Well, I'm glad he asked you about the tattoos. It always is cool to hear about the meaning behind this, but that also it leads me to another one before I hit this last segment here. I gotta know about the hair. I gotta know a little bit about the lettuce you got going on. When's the last time? How often do you have to get haircuts?
Well, so it's actually funny because I'm a very like I shouldn't say this, but I'm a superstitious guy. I feel like a lot of baseball players are. So especially last year, I only got my hair cut one time, and it was in Florida. Then I went back to Florida and got my hair cut by the same person. So I was like, okay. So then I had to go. We were playing in Frisco, Texas this year. I was like, all right, it's way too long. So I just went to some random place and got my hair chopped a little bit. But I kind of just let it flow, just
Okay.
let it go, do its thing.
What's the can you give me the best hair care tip you've ever received?
I honestly haven't really got a tip for it.
Well, what do you
Like,
have for the people then?
I don't know, because like I rinse it out pretty much every day, but I wash it like twice a week. Like, apparently that's what you're supposed to do with long hair, so I just follow that. But everybody seems to like it. Every announcer that I've ever heard or my parents have talked about, they always say something about my hair. So I'm like, all right, well, I can't go anywhere anytime soon, I guess.
It's such a thing because I will always remember Noah Syndergaard when he was kind of coming
I
up with
was
the
going to
Mets.
say that, yeah.
It was always about the hair, man. It was like you couldn't talk about Noah Syndergaard when he was coming up with the Mets without talking about the hair. I was this was a thing, man. I don't know. I just had to ask and know if you had like any what your treatment or any of that, your hair care treatment and all that. I don't know. I know some guys do.
I mean, he's a little bit shorter because like Noah, I think is like 6'6", I think 6'6".
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But blonde hair, you both throw really hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blonde hair's flowing, so I could a little parallel.
Yeah, I should say I didn't copy him.
That's
gotta
fair.
throw that out there. I didn't copy him. I just didn't like short hair, so I just let it keep going.
Oh, that's fair. All right, I'm heading into the last segment here. We're getting close on time here. You gave us a ton of your time. It's going to be an easy one. There's no thought to it. It's just going to be a quick answer. You can even I guess justify your answer if you want to. Like I'm all open to it, but it should be just a quick one off the top of your head. I'm going to call it this or that. So I'm going to give you two options. You just pick one, and I'm going to start you off with the easiest one of all time, even though it might be wrong. First question here is In-N-Out or Whataburger?
In-N-Out.
See, that was yeah. Now, all right. Going to the beach or going to the mountains?
Mountains.
You already answered this one before, but I actually kind of want to know why. Dodgers or Angels?
Angels. The main reason is because they were like 45 minutes from us. Dodgers were like an hour and a half, 2 hours with LA traffic. But I kind of just grew into it. My dad was an Angels fan, so just kind of born into it and going to all the games and everything.
Okay.
So, tough franchise now, but
yeah, it's all right. All right, I know that
they've had an active off season. They've made a lot of Royal-esque moves. Like the Royals brought a ton of veterans last year with the mix of young players. They're doing the same thing. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're mentioning Gleyber Torres. Just read a tweet as you guys were chatting about that. So,
okay, all right. So next one here. I know I left out a couple seasons, but summertime or fall time?
Fall.
That's a good one. Sunflower seeds or bubble gum?
Sunflower seeds.
This might be an easy one too. Day game or night games?
Ooh, it depends on the time, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Uh, if it's towards like the end of the year, I'm a big fan of day games. But I
Okay.
think for majority of the time, it's a little cooler at night, so I guess I'd have to say night.
All right, so let's talk about like a Sunday day game or like a Tuesday night game. Which one are you choosing? Like, which one would you like to
Tuesday
start in more?
Tuesday night game.
Okay.
Yeah,
You kind of alluded to this one earlier. Starting or relieving?
starting.
And to finish us off here, it's got to be a food one. That's just how I roll. Would you like a good cheeseburger or chicken sandy?
Cheeseburger, 100%. I think a cheeseburger is the one thing I could have every day of my life, and I'd be content with it.
I could not agree more. I do love myself a good Zaxby's chicken, but I agree with you 1,000%. Cheeseburger all the way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, CJ, you gave us 45 minutes of your time. Definitely appreciate all the time here. We're gonna be looking forward to seeing you. Obviously, once you get to spring training down in Fort Myers, I know I will be there for a couple weeks, so I might see you at some point down at the complexes. But CJ, thank you so much for hopping on.
Appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for having me.